Om Shanti. Welcome back. Hope the sound is working well, that you can hear in different languages. Maybe translators may need to just make sure that unmute. And we are all together. So it's a quite appropriate title this weekend, this famous date in February, talking about love. We want to understand what it really means and spiritual depth of these two beautiful rhyming words in Hindi. A couple of quotes from Worldly Life. This is from an American science fiction writer, Philip K. Dick, and he says, "We live in a society where detachment is almost essential." We may emphasize, I wonder if almost is enough, but interesting, this is picked up. Another quote by philosopher Michael Bassey Johnson. "If you truly want to be respected by people you love, you must prove to them that you can survive without them." So I would like to open up this retreat this weekend and see where it takes, and the depth of this nature of love, detachment. So I'm going to hand over now to Prashant, and warm welcome, good evening.
Thank you, and hello and good evening from here. And it's such a central subject for all of us. The word used is detachment, but the Hindi word Nyara, it has got some other flavors in that word. And one translation that I like is being beyond. And it also means separate. And of course, detachment is part of it. But bottom line, we are looking for freedom. These different words are used, but we are talking about being free. And our present situation is such, we may not even realize that we are in bondage. When one is free, one realizes the bondage. And we may get used to this bondage. But to begin with, let us create a few minutes of attention. And I will speak a few words, and let us try and experience. First, roughly a minute, let us experiment with concentration. Concentration is central for us. Concentration is useful for anyone. Even if they are playing sport, they need concentration. But here, concentration is central. And we all have concentration. And more we use it, it gets better. It is just like any muscles you use, they improve. So also here. So during this minute, we come to that world beyond, what we call supreme home. But even if someone is completely new, it is possible to come to that region beyond. We can see it in the image of a sky. We like to see it in the image of gentle red color, expanse. And our aim is to stay in this world, in this expanse of light. And during this minute, we don't go into other thoughts. Certainly, our aim is not to go in the story, just for 1 minute. Give yourselves this aim, and the easy way is aim for immersion into that region. You may try this with eyes open, eyes closed. And next step for us is to engage with that region. And engage involves you are actively observing and noticing things. Experiencing the silence of this world and experiencing the light of this world. Aware of the timelessness of this region. Thank you. Certainly aim for this when you choose during your time, the rest of the day. And as we saw, it can be just 1 minute. Nothing will come to halt if you step out of this. But benefits are enormous. To start with, you will notice that when you are experimenting with this, you are engaging with that region. In the process, you are disengaging from other things. As if this background programming is going on in our mind. Some wasteful thoughts, they're cyclical thoughts, that is, you are engaged, whether you like it or not. And even when you are aiming for meditation, you will find this, given the chance, those other thoughts will come. So when you are actively engaging, so when you are actively engaging with that region, if, as we said, 1 minute, engaging, the way we can do this is you are there. That is what engagement is. You're noticing the details as if you have to report. It is silence, but you are there in that experience. Give yourself this extra step, that it is not just a visualization, but you are in that region. And in 1 minute, you will find this disengagement that happens with the wasteful areas that frees you temporarily. Temporarily means maybe for next hour. Then you are more efficient in whatever you are doing. And next step of your meditation, you will find it more refined. something to experiment. And as we said, during that minute, whether you close the eyes, it is okay. Best is not to try when you are doing some active things, but create that free time, 1 minute. Let us come to another practice. And some of these practices, you will see the benefits at many levels without you really aiming for. And whether it is health, whether it is in many things. We are dealing with magic here. But if it is done accurately, there will be results. So in this practice, we are aiming for detachment, but detachment of the actor. Let us say John is acting in the school drama. He's playing the part of Mr. Universe. It is a half-an-hour drama, but he's acting in this drama. When he comes home, he doesn't bring Mr. Universe with him. He doesn't bring the drama with him. He comes home as John. And he is very happy to be John and to be with his mommy and daddy. He may completely disengage from the theater and that part, and necessary for him to disengage. Knowledge, the whole knowledge that we have heard tells us that here is the drama. What happened during the day, everything that happened during the day today in our lives, your lives, was a theater. And there is the invisible actor who has his world beyond. So during these few minutes, this invisible actor is stepping behind this theater. Just as John goes back home, in the same way, this invisible actor steps behind, that's all, temporarily. And he experiences that reality behind, different reality. He experiences the silence of this world. Happy to realize that there is a world behind. That Star Wars is not the only reality. Very happy to experience the simplicity of this world. Even simplicity of his own is just a tiny point. Very happy with this. In the theater, you need many things, the hats and body, and you need all this paraphernalia for the drama. Behind, he experiences the reality and the simplicity. It's just a point, doesn't need anything else. Very happy to experience the family. There is a true family here. They also are in the form of tiny stars, points, just like him. They all play different parts on the stage. Some may be playing the part of the king and commanders. But behind, they are very happy to be just his points. The invisible actors. He experiences the solitude of this world. very happy to be in this solitude. Experiences the absolute security. In the drama, things come, go, many things may happen, but behind he knows his immortality and immortality of everyone, eternal security of everything and everyone behind the story. Invisible actor is just happy that that reality exists. The story is not a whole thing. Happy to be sensible. If he was senseless, then he would be completely buried in the story and think that story is the only thing that exists. That is senselessness. So all that has happened, the invisible actor steps behind, detaches from the story. As was said, just means separates, comes out of the confusion, steps beyond, realizes that reality beyond, completely free to come into action, but just wakes up to the reality beyond. And what happens? He experiences the silence of this world. To start with, the happiness that this world exists. He experiences the simplicity of this world. He experiences the sweetness of the family. Big family, all belong to this family. And all are lovely, all are immortal. Experiences the solitude of this world. Experiences the security of this world. Understands the great value of being sensible. This is also the home of his Supreme Father, God. He is not in that temporary story. He is the one who is the wisest. And in what way does this wisdom present? He sees himself as a point. He sees himself, that tiny star. He plays such a big part on the stage. Plays the part, hero part on the stage. He is the one who uplifts the whole world and statues, and everyone worships him everywhere. But in himself, he sees that point. He sees himself as a tiny point. Just as John, he plays the part of Mr. Universe, but he frees himself from that part. That part doesn't pollute him. This is a schoolboy, and he can do this. And is happy with that. For the Supreme Friend, Supreme Father, is also the Supreme Actor. and he is also the wisest. And a sign of that wisdom, he is not polluted by the part, not even the slightest. Very happy to see himself as a point and free from that whole theater, understands his world beyond, knows his true family. Stays in truth. As we continue on our journey in the home, on the theater stage, we have the option to remember the beautiful truth. We remember the option to use the best sight and see this beautiful, beautiful home and beautiful theater. Thank you. It would be nice if you want to say anything, ask anything. This is all along, feel free to type. And shall we hear from Sarah? Sarah, want to add anything?
Reminds me of an analogy I think you gave once. If you're going to peel an orange, then if you get the right layer, then it's really neat because you've got the orange and it's clean and it's without all that pith, and the peel is separate. So it's like a clean thing. But if you get the wrong layer, then you've got bits of peel mixed with the fruit. And also you probably get like squirted in the eyes with all the juice. It's a mess. The whole thing is a mess. So it feels like this word in English being detachment just means getting the right layer. And you said at the beginning, it's like detachment of the actor. So everything is so neat when we are experiencing that independence, because then you've got that supreme reality, the point, it's normal. And then you've got this drama, the peel, but it's different and you're not mixing. The art then isn't to get the right layer, to get it the right way. So this word detachment in English, it feels we have to retranslate probably with these words you've already mentioned, like beyond or separate, maybe the word above. It is not, in this case, Sarah detaching from other characters in a story. So I think it takes perhaps some reflecting. Yeah, this aspect you mentioned about the freedom, not getting polluted, the example of the supreme soul that can come and be so fully engaged but not get drawn into doesn't create identity. So it's fully Nyara and therefore can be fully Pyara, fully loving, is a beautiful model or illustrating how it's possible. No questions are coming up so far in the chat, but some comments. One comment question I had, would you suggest or like to say anything about steps of meditation? Sometimes structure is helpful. Would it be like first be Nyara, like first detach, or you see these things happening in parallel?
Yeah, sure. Yes, of course, we have discussed some of the steps in the past. We have also spoken of cluster of practices, and even today we even if someone is very first time here, you can get on with this. Create this 1 minute of concentration, and that just primes you, prepares you for the next step. And what a life when you have stepped back and realized this another reality. And in this world, no one wants to lose their family. They make so much effort to get back to their family. If they have lost, it just gives them so much sorrow. Here you are rediscovering your true family. You're connecting back to your true home. It is hardly a detachment. You are coming back, getting connected to your true father, even disconnecting to yourselves. And as a beautiful analogy it is, you are just becoming free from the orange peel. It was a messy job before, but now you are becoming free and just separating and enjoying the drama also the right way, and enjoying your real world the right way. One who is in senseless state, he cannot enjoy the drama because he finds everything. There are bad guys in this script, and episodes come to an end. And if he doesn't even know that's a drama, it bothers him. When you have stepped back, when the invisible actor is sensible, the word is Nyara, but when he's sensible, he enjoys his world, supreme reality. He had forgotten about this completely. Now he discovers it. And he also wins the earth. He enjoys every moment of the drama as it comes. Once you understand it's a drama, then every moment is a gift. So let us come to some simple areas of our discussion.
And shortly there are some questions, but
let us deal with the questions also.
So one question, should we stop watching the news? At the moment, it appears that this confluence age is quite beautiful, despite what we hear in the media. So should we stop watching the news? It's a question.
Not necessarily. It's a separate thing, but we need to do our homework. That is more important. The moment I have stepped back, and if I'm conscious at another level, understand the story for what it is, then there is no problem. So I would not say necessarily not to watch news, but I might say let the drama, not draw you so much that you have completely forgotten about your world and your family and yourselves. Let it not be that. And some time has to be created, dedicated time to get anchored back in our real world. You might realize that news are not important. You might realize that. And your time is more precious at another level. But that will follow.
Thank you. So I hope that helps. And one more question here. What would be your suggestion for detachment from anxiety?
Yes, the one is the anxiety, but the detachment has to be from our larger confusion. That is all. We cannot just detach from the anxiety and stay in some other attachments. we step behind, step out of the story. Mr. Universe, we have to step out and understand that this is a story and it's a stunt, and you are playing just a part and you are someone completely different. If you have stepped back, then what happens in the drama, and when the episodes begin, episodes end, villains come, dragons come, you are amused by the whole thing. That will not create an anxiety. Various forms, we have seen in the past, whether it is one person anxiety, another person anger, fear, all those things are proportionate to how much I have trapped myself in the story. So this image that we have seen, we show this here is our Mr. Universe theater, Star Wars. I think Star Wars is going to happen very soon, I think, here. But here is the great theater. And the image we have used in the past of this spiral. The whole world is so busy going into that downward spiral. They want to get trapped in that more and more and more. So more a person is at the lower end of the spiral, more is the misery, helplessly. That is the way the law is, because everything matters and everything bothers you. More a person is out of the spiral. That's why we have shown this other, and that is the effort. Detachment is this. You are stepping back, learning how to step back. And it will not happen in one minute or not in one session, but we start the process. We have changed the direction, so congratulate yourselves for that. And every minute we are going in this direction, the same world situation, but it will not disturb you. Same thing going on, and the same people and same situation, but you are not having anxiety and you are not having fear. Any form of misery will become less. And on the contrary, when you are that invisible actor, playing that part of Mr. Universe, you are amused by the whole thing. It is this story is given not to punish us, it's a gift. Anyone goes to watch a theater or acts in a theater, not to give himself misery, he goes to enjoy. Story is there only for entertainment. So that is what will happen in time. As we step back, you will find every moment is an extraordinary gift as it comes. It may not happen. That natural feeling may not come today. We might get glimpses of it, but to get into this feeling, we need to create more time in experiencing our celestial celebration. We have to see the reality of our world, the richness of it, greatness of our world. So more you are involved, engaged with this world, the more you will find amused by the story. Story will not disturb you. It is a positive, not a negative thing, but it will become positive.
Thank you. Very helpful for everyone, these reminders. So there aren't any other questions at the moment.
Sure. Want to mention what has happened. If someone, a wise man, was to come and Mr. Biden, President Biden asks him, give me what is happening, the assessment of the planet Earth. What is happening to human beings? What will be his reply? What is the assessment? President is asking, what is the assessment? And so what will be he does some little research. And what does he observe? Do you want to tell? If you give based upon your replies, we will send your names to the president.
Sure, they will want to reply now, but so far degradation, and they are dangling upside down like bats, trapped in the web, drowning. There is division of communities. We have forgotten who we are, really are. Sleeping, all are sleeping. Kumbhakana.
Sure.
Insanity. One word, insanity.
Yeah, excellent. I think your name should go. You might get a call at some point. Once he sorts out Ukraine, he might come to you. Now here, the first thing you will see, it is universal. All human souls, all these extraordinary players, they are confused. Some different levels, but there is confusion. They got an extraordinary truth. They got this home, an eternal home. They are from the family of God, and they themselves are beings of bliss and love. That truth is extraordinary, but they are not experiencing a fraction of it. So there is a confusion. And in confusion, they are in a bondage. They are trapped in this story. Story was meant to give them entertainment. It was a gift, but it has become a web for them. But another problem with this, they don't even know they are in bondage. Bondage is not a small thing. Prison is the worst punishment, in most countries. So bondage means prison. You're getting trapped. And so they don't even know that they are trapped, which means they are not conscious, unconscious. These invisible players, they are not even conscious what is happening, even that they exist. We gave the example of John acting in a story, acting in a drama, Star Wars. He's acting as Mr. Universe. But if he gets drawn into the drama to the level he thinks he's Mr. Universe and has completely forgotten that John exists in. And he has parents and he has a hope, completely forgets. That is a zombie in John, at a practical level, he's unconscious. This is the story of these invisible actors. They are not conscious, they are zombies. And when someone is unconscious, then there's an open door for the enemy to come in. And so also here, the enemy, that is the ego, rules his mind and rules his life full time. Imagine the enemy was to rule your town, you rule your country. It is not a good news. The enemy is not thinking of you, thinking of the people. Enemy is thinking of his interests. So also here, the ego is at the one is he's the enemy, but ego is product of confusion. One answer you gave, what is the assessment? You said insanity. Ego is insane, and he's ruling the life and ruling the mind. He takes decisions and he's interpreting things. So this is what is going on. So here we show this map, in our picture. We showed, okay, here is the invisible player, and he's immortal and he's from the family of God and he's loved, and he has an extraordinary family. They are angelic souls, and they are beings, as was said, anyone who is immortal and knows he's immortal, he automatically becomes divine. He discovers his divine nature full time. Divine is not part-time. If he was to wake up to this other side, the undivine side of us comes only because of insecurity, fabricated, but when we think we may be at harm or we are harmed, then all the other things come, misery comes. So here, the soul that is conscious, he at one time discovered his divine personality, nothing inauspicious. That's why we say life is of bliss and love. That's what he discovered. And that is the way things are. They are godlike beings. And this invisible player, that's the word we use, but they are angelic souls. And they are visiting this physical world. So that starting position is this. Now they are moving into confusion. This physical world is a gift. Say some prince, he visits some park. That shouldn't be a problem. He visits the park and he comes home. The park becomes a nice experience, nice gift. He may even go on a roller coaster in that park, and that is also a gift. And he might play a game. Everything becomes a gift, as long as he's sensible, and as long as he's connected to his truth, he's not confused. In this case, we are seeing that there is a confusion. He is not seeing what he got. And what is meant as a gift here, he is creating bondages. Start saying this is mine and this is me, and gets caught into, creates desires. All these are bondages. What is the proof that there is a bondage? Even the slightest bondage. How do you know there is a bondage and the bondage is created here or not? Is there a way of knowing?
Sorrow is one
That's right.
immediate.
Yes, sorrow. Any form of sorrow. It can be just a slight disappointment or little, So that's why you create just a little desire in this world, preference. These are all, already you are entering into the bondage. When you have no bondage, you are watching the theater as it comes. You are amused by it. Suddenly Joker comes, Joker, blows something, the episode finishes, you clap and you go home. If there is no bondage, you are amused by everything. There is no preference that Joker should not say this, and Joker should not do this. We have not just created a little bondage, we get drawn more and more and more, unquestioned. One of the teachings of Socrates, question your life. That was his teachings. Question what you are doing, question what you are thinking. So here our life is unquestioned, going into that bondage, more bondage. And no one even sees that he is creating bondages. Now the end result of bondage is what? Someone gets trapped, animal, bird, if he gets trapped, what is the end result? Only sorrow, more sorrow. So also here, the life of bondage and sorrow. But end result of sorrow is becoming unconscious. If a patient comes, in the hospital, he got some injury, pain, but sometimes when he becomes unconscious, then he doesn't complain anymore about pain because he's unconscious now. Something similar happens here. End result of this, our confusion is becoming unconscious and zombie. And then ego is the king then. What we call Ravan, he is the king. And what we are seeing in this world is the party of Mr. Ravan all around. They are not complaining about bondage, and they are not complaining about confusion. They are not complaining about being unconscious. No, the party going on because it is the rule of the enemy, Ravan's kingdom. And Ravan wants more. He is happy. He is getting more, bigger hat, and that's his happiness in that story. And some prayers, kill my enemy. These are the prayers in some places, official prayers, and their happiness. So these are Ravan's prayers, Ravan's achievements. Give me more gold, and so then he's happy, Ravan. In the story, the absurdity is he's asking for all this in this temporary, blatantly temporary part, and temporary story. Unquestioned. He doesn't even question the absurdity of all this. So this is the starting position. So you are going to inform all this to Mr. President. Okay, so that is the assessment. What do we do about this? Our answer to this is the soul has to become conscious first. Even before becoming detached, he has to become conscious. If it is ego, ego is the king. Ego is told to become detached. Ego will say, why should I be detached? His aim is to create more attachments. So most of the time, within us, ego is going to hear this because says, detach. That is not my aim. His mission is to get more gold and eat more and have a bigger hat. And that is the life of ego. Ego is product of that ignorance, embodiment of ignorance. So, the earlier Sarah asked steps. What are the steps? So in this discussion, the first step would be the invisible player becomes conscious at least. And this option we have, and that's why we are here. Knowledge and all should lead to the next step where the invisible player becomes conscious and we see the perspective of that invisible player. And as soon as we talk, let us experiment with this. It is like a straightforward thing. Sometimes we hear in the Murli, game of a second, Jivan Mukti in 1 second. It is as easy as that. At least to experience this, it is a game of a second. So make it easy. The invisible player wakes up. And if he wakes up, he understands here is a theater. That is a sign that he is awake. If ego is conscious, ego says this is all me and mine, he's drowning in that story. But if the invisible player is conscious, he says, here is a great story. He finds his presence, invisible presence, is natural for him. And his immortality is natural. His freedom from the story becomes natural. Most important, he understands his complete independence from the story. The whole thing. There is a story there with many, many things. All the gold and everything is there. An invisible player needs nothing from that. He renounces that madness and understands complete independence from the story. He knows he is very lucky, not because of the gold in the story, but he knows he is lucky because of his sky, because of his world, alaukic world. Silently he knows everyone is lucky. But that awareness of the independence from the story, that is the sign that soul is conscious. Otherwise, lots of spiritual effort can happen from the ego also, because we start from the ego, and lots of religions and everything, how can they start from soul consciousness? Some may not even believe in the soul. So same thing happens with us. Ego is there, and ego-based effort happens. But ego will not like that independence. Ego will not experience the independence from the story. He may go from some one corner to another corner, but this is me and this is mine. But he's in that pot, that green pot, green and blue pot, ego, when it is ego-based effort. So good for us to silently check, is this going in the right direction? Is the invisible player really conscious? These are not just words. Words anyone can say. The commentaries we can listen. But that progress will happen. We want to get in this upward spiral. That will happen only if it is accurate. So this is a nice step. Invisible player becomes conscious, and he understands down below is a story. Whole thing, everything that happened today happen in the story. This moment he is realizing this. So this moment he is conscious. And since it is a story, he knows his complete independence from the story. John understands his independence from the Star Wars. He goes home, he doesn't need to think of the Star Wars. So if a schoolboy can understand this, it is possible for here, these angelic souls. So if this angelic soul understands, here is a great story, very, very convincing story, grand performance, better story. He also understands this part that is played, like right now, you, me, we are having a part here. Prashant is a part. In the theater, he's talking about all this, soul and God is talking about this, but it is a part. And the invisible player understands his independence from that part, from that role. Whole thing, not just the body, not just his detaching from the body, but the whole thing, what we can label as with a name when you hear Prashant, that is in the story. An invisible player existed before that part. And it will continue after this episode finishes, it will continue. So we were seeing it's just one step of the invisible player becoming conscious. It addresses many things. To start with, it addresses this area of bondage. That is bondage. He finds, if you understand it's a story, that bondage is gone. During those minutes, you will find that bondage doesn't exist anymore. That appears absurd if it is a story. He is conscious, so that unconsciousness is also gone. If the angel is conscious, Ravan becomes unconscious. Ravan can rule only when the angel is not conscious. And angel is powerful. Naturally, angel is powerful compared to ego. It's natural law within us. But angel has to be conscious. But if angel is not even there, then ego becomes the king. So here you are creating this one step of becoming conscious to address all four situations. Otherwise, each of these are big areas. Like if one of your friend, relation becomes confused, it is a serious thing. You will be very concerned. If someone is in prison, you will be very concerned. It's such a bad thing that can happen to anyone. Unconscious, so it is a very emergency. Enemy ruling their town, their country. These are four big misfortunes that can come to anyone. In this case, all four are there at the same time. And what we are doing is addressing this major, not just having the assessment, what is happening on planet Earth, and then goes in the file, but you got a program to address it, not just for yourselves, but for the world. Once you know the answer, you will take steps. It is not, you won't keep it just for yourselves. It's an easy answer. Becoming conscious, the invisible player becoming conscious becoming Nyara follows, becomes easy. Because he's the one who has to detach. And one who is to detach has to become conscious. You'd like to add anything? Say anything?
Yes, there are a lot of questions coming up. Some of them may be quite simple, but if you would like to share regarding being trapped, does it have something to do with our karmic accounts? So there's about 6 or so questions.
Sure. By getting trapped, we create karmic accounts. It is like our confusion, like I say, bird. Not all animals get trapped. Some birds are clever. They don't get trapped. But it is like a confusion creates the trap. But once we are in that, we create bondages, and we create karmic accounts. Like create a desire that is in my hand, and then I am in the bondage. Create attachments, it is in my hands. So these are karma. These are the karmic. In the process, I create the karmic. Yeah.
Same, yes. Same person's asking, what are the signs of that one is trapped? I suppose initial thought from here are cyclical thoughts. Anything else that we could understand that we're trapped, apart from signs of sorrow? I suppose you've clarified that.
Mm-hmm. But thoughts are also, that is also a sign. Very fact that your mind goes there again and again, that is a sign of bondage.
Earlier you mentioned the drama can be enjoyable. But the question, how would health-related pain and medical procedures be an enjoyable drama?
Sure. Sometime in some other retreats, we have shown videos of people climbing and falling during the climb, and at the same time experiencing bliss, even though body is getting injured. So this is like an extreme, extreme example. But here what we are saying, let us get on with it. Let us get on with the experimenting. This is not a commandment to experience happiness when there is an illness. That is not the way we are approaching. But to do the homework, experiencing the home, experiencing the richness of the soul, experiencing that reality. We have to go up the spiral, and this ego have to go. Our bondages have to go. Then those attitudes will follow. Those reactions will follow. Not today. Homework has to be done.
Thank you for that. It's interesting, our religious conditioning can turn what is a perspective into commandment, but nice to be gently reminded of the practice. One question, when the soul becomes conscious, how does that affect the way that one plays the role in the story? Is less effort needed to play the part?
Sure. Anyone who is confused, and there's a difference, one who is confused and one who is not confused, there will be a huge difference. To start with, one John acting in the drama, and is aware of his home and aware of his parents and aware the drama is drama. He has enthusiasm. He finds the drama is fun. Even the bad guys come and the dragons come, he knows this is fun. He enjoys every moment of it and happy to come, happy to live. That is the most important aspect. When you are in clarity, you enjoy your home also, but you enjoy the drama. You act with that energy of enthusiasm and fun.
Thank you. Interesting question. If the soul, the self, the soul is independent from the story, the soul therefore must be unaffected by actions. Something you could clarify.
Unaffected by actions. Yes, in the drama, many actions happen here. Other people's actions, all that is going on, and he's not affected by those actions. But if you are meaning by that, if there is Ravana is involved and Ravana has interests in something, that is a different thing. Those actions are, if there are some actions that feeds the Ravan, that is what we want to avoid. But otherwise, drama is going on just like any other drama. There is in the drama, there is, someone has a part of the king. He plays the part of the king. He comes home. He's not affected by the part of the king. But if he goes on the stage and feeds his ignorance, confusion, attachments, that is different kind of karma. And those karma have influence. Those karma, he is not immune to those karma. Those karma brings pain.
And playing the part of the king becomes stressful. If the king's life is in the storyline, the king might get insulted. So then it becomes the experiencing sorrow when it's just a story king. In that sense, you mean?
Yes. The invisible actor creating attachment to the king, the part of the king, that karma is what we are checking. It is a different kind of karma of the soul. Otherwise, part of the king is a different, and that is the karma of the part. But there is another karma going on in the soul.
Clear. If there is a pull to come to the Sanjeevani retreat, that is also a bondage. Is that right?
If it ends up giving sorrow, if you miss it, if the electricity is not working, computer is not working, if it gives sorrow, then it is a bondage. But what happens is, at our starting position is bondages. There are many bondages, and so if there is something that helps us free us from the bondages, that is we have to take the steps. We don't remove the boat that takes us across because there is a bondage. Now our life is in the bondage starting position. But yes, once you become free from the bondages, you have to let go of the boat also. The purpose of the boat is to take you across, but don't create bondage to the boat. But in the early stages, we have to get in the boat.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that helps. I really appreciate very clear that any sorrow, any inauspicious feeling is a sign of bondage, that it is a sign of false identity, that this is a theater, it is neutral. however, also aware that there needs to be the caution that if one is feeling light and happy, also needs a little checking, because things may be going well in the theatre, but that might be just comfortable environment for Ravan to be getting bigger. So that's also a sign, isn't it? We need to also catch, not when it gets to the bondage part, but when we are giving importance and intensity, life to something in the theatre. That's
Yeah, our aim is not just to be light and happy. That is not aim. As we said, at present, Ravan's party is going on, and Ravan is happy and light. That is singing songs in his club. That is not our aim. Our primary aim is come in that full clarity. That is our first aim. That's why we use the right intellect. We draw these sketches so that we can see the big picture. We want to get the soul conscious. That invisible player has to be in charge of the mind and the life. Then his nature is of happiness. We want that soul conscious happiness, not Ravan's happiness. Checking is good. What you said was good, but to know that our starting position is not soul conscious. We introduce soul consciousness, maybe for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. With attention, we have to introduce. The moment attention is not there, instantly, same second, we are into the other camp.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe one more question before perhaps we have a break. Could you perhaps just explain a little bit further what you meant about not getting into bondage with the boat?
Sure. The example is clear, yeah? So someone want to go across from one side of the river to the other side of the river, and boat helps him take him to the other side. And once he goes to the other side, he has to let go of the boat. If he creates attachment to the boat, then he doesn't go to the other side. He is not fulfilling the purpose of the boat. In the same way, this knowledge is given to us. We might be using books, and we might be using whatever recordings. And all of this is there to take us to the other side. And once you go to the other side, we should not create attachments to people, position, possessions. We have to let go, because destination is not people, position, possessions. That is also within the physical world here, which is in the story. Our destination is here, to the God's world, and that is where attention is. So you may have to see that there is no attachment to the books and the recordings and whatever, place, people. But I don't break those attachments on the first day. I'm still on the other side. I won't say I should not get into the boat because it will create attachments. Then I don't start the journey at all. But in the first second, I need to use the books, whatever is available. But once you cross, you have to let go.
One very quick boat question, since we're on the subject. Are there many boats for the destination or not?
Whatever boat that you feel it is working for you, get on the boat. We have to use the discrimination.
So we're going to create a couple of moments for poll questions. The vote theme is continuing on the chat, just checking if it can be a mega yacht or not, but I think we continue with discrimination. But meanwhile, Prashant can have a think about one good question for rooms. But meanwhile, just on the screen, you should see a question. Translators may need to just read out the options. We'll leave it up for a few seconds. If you're not able to answer, don't worry, you can always just type in the chat private note or as you wish. Maybe another few seconds. Okay, thank you so much. Those who managed to answer, and we'll just share the results for your interest. Thank you. And just another very quick question that's coming up about morning class. If you're not sure what that is and you would like to know, then just send us a message or an email. We can explain a little more. Got the hang of the poll now. That was very fast. Another few seconds for that. Thank you. Okay, so the results on the screen with that. Thank you very much for participating. And Prashant, maybe would you like to share a question which would be useful for reflection in the rooms?
So we spoke about this assessment, so what will be your answer to Mr. President? One assessment we have got. So now what is the answer? How are we going to solve this situation on the planet? Starting from ourselves.
Please continue.
Starting from ourselves.
How would you solve the situation on this planet, starting with ourselves, connected to these 4 points: confusion, bondage, unconsciousness, being unconscious, and enemies ruling? So something to kick off some discussion. And do feel free to write a note or click help button if you're in the wrong room. And
good answers will go to the president.
Good. Promise we have connections in the US, maybe with this. It will be very easy. So enjoy the discussion, and we'll meet back in around 10-15 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Got carried away with rooms, and it's really nice to hear some discussion. Should we create time for a pause? Sometimes it's just nice to come back to something very simple, whatever the focus is in this subject that was discussed, and then we'll continue hearing a little more of your reflections. Thank you. And I really appreciated this highlighting of the invisible player, the consciousness that sees the drama as a theater. Somehow there's magic in these words, but of course it's not the words, it's the stage, it's the homework, it's the experience that we are feeling. It's needing nothing vibration and renouncing the confusion or madness, and this being a sign of soul consciousness, the seeing the drama as a theater, it cannot harm. So this was a highlight for me. And in the rooms, it was nice to hear. We have heard about the detachment, but it'd be nice maybe to hear more about the Pyara, the love for souls, that is a consequence perhaps that comes naturally once there is clarity, freedom. So that was one conversation that was had that I heard. And anything else that you would like to share with the group, it'd be lovely to hear in the chat. So handing over back to Prashant for last few minutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. And let us create another few minutes of this awareness. And as was mentioned, the nature of each and every one is of love. And bliss comes as a bonus. That is the nature of each and every living being. And this applies to dog and every soul, wherever the soul is. The nature of innate nature is bliss and love. It comes with friends. The only factor that is required, he has to become conscious and he has to come out of the web. That's why Nyara, he automatically discovers the Pyara. What we don't want is a rush to get into the love without becoming Nyara. And we get trapped in the Ravan's love, in the Ravan's songs. So that just traps us further. That's why the emphasis at the moment because we got the assessment, we got a diagnosis. And if that is the diagnosis, that has to be put right first. Just like if someone is confused and he's saying loving, it can be a bigger problem. In that confusion, what is happening? In psychiatry, love is one symptom of illness. They start singing too many songs, talk about love. It becomes a symptom. So also here, in our present state, it is meaningless. Or, can be, taking us in the backward direction, because it's Ravan's department. So the first step for us right now, we are seeing the extraordinary truth of everyone. They all are angelic souls. We use the word invisible players, but invisible players are invisible princes. All we need to do is use the sight and use the intellect. That's all. We already have this sight. We are just using it. And we are realizing that everyone is invisible prince who belongs to the King of Kings. This region is divine, which means nothing inauspicious. As was said, love comes with friends. It's a region of contentment and peace and happiness and love. Everyone is lovely and loving. Always. That's why it's a region of love. Ravan's love has complications. There's possessiveness and comparison. When it is divine, there are no complications. No one is begging for love in this, but everyone is loving everyone. That's why there are no complications. Each one is full, discovers he is immortal and he needs nothing. And this dimension is timeless. This reality is eternal. They all remain lucky and lovely forever. The only option they have is to be confused. That is the option. The truth is timeless. They are angelic and they are divine forever. But they can create their fabricated problem. Without reason. It's the extraordinary thing. That option is there, option of ignorance. That is why in this game of a second is because there is no real problem. The problem is artificial. As if all are princes, but they think they are beggars. So they behave like beggars. But they are princes forever. So as we go through our rest of the evening, we see this as a important homework. It is not optional, but this is like a foundation of our life itself. If this is what exists, we are talking about invisible brains, immortality, life with God, and life of love. All this exists. Why should there be confusion? Why should the world not experience this? It's the homework, but at the same time, we do it with the energy of fun. Thank you. Happy to hear any comments, any questions.
So there's one question that's getting rephrased at the moment, and one that's just come: how to understand the saying "God is love," something we hear, God is love.
Yeah, sure. Anyone who is soul conscious, he is a being, he will experience his own love. It is, as was said, they are not begging for love, but they are loving, and it is a nature. If anyone is given an environment of security, he experiences love. That is the dynamics. If you see a child, if you see a puppy, automatically you will experience this emerged love within you. Anyone will. And what happens? It is an environment of security. You feel secure, and that's why you experience love there. Souls who are soul conscious, they are secure. They are naturally in the environment of security. There may be destruction going on in the story, but they know it is a story, and they don't feel they are under attack of any kind. So there are no bad guys for one who is soul conscious. Everyone is lovely and loving, and they are like childlike. Everyone appears childlike, and so there is a dynamics, of emerged love for everyone. So when we are talking about Supreme Soul, he is supreme because he is always in that space of soul consciousness. He experiences that supreme love for everyone, always emerged. That is his life. But he also acts, love always, it will go to the next level. If you love someone and if he's in trouble, you will do something about this. So also here, with Supreme Soul, is ocean of love, but he also is knowledgeful, and he knows the diagnosis, he knows the answer. He knows what is going on in this world, what has gone wrong. He knows how to put things right also. And he also knows it is like an easy intervention, and life can be so different. So that's why God is called love, because out of love, the whole world gets benefit at different levels. Not just a song. There are many others who might be loving, but it just stops at the level of song. But this love leads to this huge shift. Everyone comes out of that confusion, bondage. They frees everyone from their enemies.
Thank you. A few more questions here. Can a soulmate indicate a trap for the soul's consciousness? This came through a translation, so I hope that it, sometimes it's that being drawn.
True soulmate is God for us. At the present time, we don't say anyone else is a soulmate. We all are souls, we all are brothers, but in the drama, there is no one here who is my soulmate. Soulmate is God. And that relationship frees us, doesn't create any bondage.
And where is that relationship?
With God.
It's incorporeal.
Incorporeal.
Yes.
Our whole game is alaukic. Our spiritual life necessarily means we have to use the paras intellect and start the journey. As time progresses, paras will become stronger. We ourselves are incorporeal, and everything of ours is alaukic, invisible. Alaukic means unearthly.
Thank you. So hope that helps. Feel free to clarify if there's anything else from that in the chat. This one, do animal souls belong to the same father and soul world?
Yes. There is no other father, there's one God. And he has a responsibility to purify human souls, animal souls, matter, whole thing. So he is the father for all souls.
How would a criminal be seen as childlike?
Just as if you are in a drama and someone is acting as a dragon, maybe some child in a children's drama, child will act as a dragon, and some another child is acting as a villain. So that is the drama part. But children are acting in this drama, and you will of course see them. Children are children. You will not mix, because if someone is acting as a dragon, you are not saying that actor is a bad guy. You are having that separation. You are seeing things separate. Same discrimination we need and we have to use to know that there is a drama here and there is an actor. And all actors are the same, from the same home, and they are child. It is a nice sentence in the spiritual writing that all are holy, and holiness soon shall refashion their lives. Souls means this, all souls. They are divine beings. But we also know if they have crossed the line and if they are into confusion and bondage and enemy, then the game is different altogether. But we are here to free them from that problem and help them rediscover their holiness.
Something beautiful in the recent reading that you have no enemies because you understand the real enemy is Ravan. So you have no soul is ever enemy. They are your brothers, and if there is an enemy, it's the Ravan within the self, Ravan in others. So there's a unity there and a wish to support, if that makes sense. So we've come to time in a sense. If there's something you'd like to share as a sort of reflection, and since you mentioned homework a couple of times, maybe nice to have some homework.
Yeah, the homework would be to go through those four areas. And we are seeing that for the world and for ourselves, and what it means to be free from it. We are saying it's a game of a second. And what does it mean to be free? We say even ordinary love that everyone is talking about, we are saying that is ego-based love. That is, we are not saying, oh, this is amazing thing. It is Ravan's party. We are saying that something else is hidden, and we want to get that up. And the soul has to wake up. Try and see the contrast. What we have, and so it is a nice time, this next 24 hours for us to aim for that.
Thank you. We just typed those 4 areas in the chat. So just to clarify, to come out, reflecting on coming out of those 4 areas: confusion, bondage, the unconscious state, and enemy ruling. And something to add to that, because I was busy typing.
That's good. But if there is anything in the game of a second, whole thing is waking up takes 1 second. Making it easy. It may be for a short time, maybe for 1 minute, but let us know the clear contrast when you are free from all those 4 things.
It is the strategic step of the awakening. Thank you. So we're going to create a few minutes for those who have time to watch a drill, and we'll finish with that. And any further questions? I've seen one in the chat. We'll maybe pick them up tomorrow. Thank you.
मन बुद्धि संस्कार तीनों के मालिक बन ऑर्डर करो स्वीट साइलेंस तो अनुभव करो ऑर्डर करने से अधिकारी बनने से तीनों ये ऑर्डर में रहते हैं। अभी अधिकारी की स्टेज पर स्थित हो जाओ।